A very good evening, all. I'm Aditi Lama with the Wednesday night edition of South Asian News, Vision of Asia. We are coming to you from our studio in New York City. Welcome to the show. Let's begin the episode taking a look at the coronavirus pandemic and its impact. The world has surpassed 141 million cases of COVID-19, with now more than 3 million deaths. On that, India, home to many of our viewers, reported nearly 300,000 cases, its highest single day's rise as the country's health infrastructure struggles to cope with what's going on with the surge in India. Here in the United States, we are at more than 568,000 COVID-19 deaths and nearly 32 million cases. A new forecast from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is projecting up to 596,000 COVID-19 deaths by May 15th. So again, make sure that you are following all key guidelines to prevent COVID-19. In politics, big news: former Minneapolis police officer was found guilty of all 3 charges against him in the death of George Floyd, with the charges of second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. This is by far one of the most important trials of the Black Lives Matter era, where this trial would set precedent for other trials on police brutality and racism towards communities of color. Send us your views on events at itvgold.com on the verdict of this trial and what it means for you. With that, let's begin tonight's segment. Here are the headlines. Dr. Sandeep Jain on coronavirus surge in vaccine, stat care, urgent care, and walking medical care, New York. Charlie Bailey responds to shove-in trial in criminal justice system, Democratic candidate for Attorney General of Georgia. Vartal Dham Swaminarayan Temple celebrates Shakotsav 2021 in Somerset, New Jersey. It's time for a short break on Vision of Asia, Voice of the Community. We'll be right back. And welcome back. I am Aditi Lama and this is Vision of Asia, Wednesday night episode of South Asian News. Let's take a look at the coronavirus updates and measures. On vaccines, the pause on Johnson & Johnson's single-dose COVID-19 vaccine continues, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention will meet this Friday to discuss the future of the vaccine. Meanwhile, both Moderna and Pfizer are increasing their production to meet the demand. Also, according to the CDC, more than 272 million vaccine doses have been distributed in the United States and more than 213 million doses have been administered. This is happening as COVID-19 variants spread across the nation during a new surge which has started to impact several states with increase in cases and hospitalizations. So it's essential now that we continue to wear a mask, wash hands with soap and water, and practice social distancing as the government races to vaccinate all. Bringing more insight into this and the importance of staying vigilant, we spoke with expert Dr. Sandeep Jain. Here is Dr. Jain. Are you currently happy with the rollout of vaccines in this country? You have a couple of urgent cares in New York, so I'm sure you must have a lot of connection with what's happening with the vaccine rollout. Are you happy with how many vaccines you have gotten in your urgent care?
Yes, I think overall the vaccination in the state of New York has been very good. You can't complain. There have been enough vaccination centers opened up. I do think that we delayed changing the criteria from the 75 and up to, from healthcare workers to 75 and up and then to 65 and up. I think we should have done a faster rollout. I do also think that we did not really engage the community leaders, whether it's pastors, churches. We did not do a good job with engaging them. And, a lot of these people, when there's a pandemic, they were scared. They weren't willing to come to medical facilities to just get the vaccination. So I think, again, this is a lot of this is in hindsight. Now, what can we do better going forward? I still think that community physicians, whether they're pediatricians, primary care physicians, family physicians, they are the go-to people where people actually go and get their medical care taken care of. So I think distributing to them aggressively is probably a better strategy. And I know the government, at least in the New York area, has been doing a phenomenal job. I can't complain with that.
In your urgent cares, Dr. Jain, is the supply meeting the demand of the vaccine currently?
So currently we have our vaccine only in the Manhattan site, and we have appointments that are being booked all the time. I think we have enough vaccines and enough demand, unlike the other states where they're piling up vaccines because there is no demand. I believe they should probably get those vaccines from those states and just pass it on to states that have the demand.
Right. When you are looking at these vaccines, Dr. Jain, I would love to know right now, when we're looking at everything that's happening in the nation with the surge, with the variants, with Johnson & Johnson on pause, how should we be behaving once we are vaccinated? What is I know CDC has their own recommendation, but what is your personal recommendation for those people looking at everything that's happening here?
So based on my personal communication with other physicians and based on my own experience, what we found, vaccines aren't 100% foolproof. Nobody has ever said that. Doctors who've gotten the vaccine have gotten COVID a second time and a third time. So what would be my personal recommendation? Well, I still do, and I would still wear a mask regardless of my vaccination status, except when I'm eating food. There's no reason for me to take my mask off when I'm with a group of people. So even if you're hanging out with other vaccinated people, I know the CDC is saying that you don't need a mask. I would still be on the side of caution and wear a mask. I think healthcare workers overall have the highest risk of exposure because they see so many people. So of course it makes sense for them to wear a mask, but it is very troublesome that people have gotten it a second and a third time.
Right.
And also the variants, as soon as the other variants come around, whatever protection we might have might drop to a level where we might end up with moderate disease. Right now, nobody's getting really sick because they've gotten the vaccine. Even if you get a variant, you're not going to really fall sick.
That's true. How are you looking at air travel, doctor? Do you recommend that?
Okay, so this is a slightly complicated question because there's economic. Excuse me. Let me answer that again. When it comes to airline travel, a few factors weigh in. So if you see how coronavirus spreads in closed, contained spaces, crowded places, the aircraft actually fulfills those criteria, C's we talk about. So if everybody getting on the plane is COVID negative through a PCR test, it doesn't really mean that they are not carrying it. We could still have transmission, although the transmission will be at a much lower rate. I know airline travel is considered generally safe if you're vaccinated. I would still wear a mask in the plane even if you're vaccinated. And if you're not vaccinated, I would be careful in traveling by an airline. Also, it has to do with the duration of exposure and how tight the space is. So there's experience from the Chinese studies where they found air hostesses were at very high risk because they were using the restroom. So it's a closed environment. So you use the restroom the least, hopefully. Try and avoid it. And just keep your mask on the whole time. I think you'd be okay.
Lots of advice here from you, Dr. Jain. My final question to you actually deals with our homeland, the homeland to many Indian Americans, India. I would like to know, how are you looking at the current surge? They're seeing anywhere around 200,000 cases a day. Hospitals are overwhelmed there. I'm sure you must be hearing news through your medical context as well. What's your opinion?
This will continue. And I think one of the things that people are not realizing is it's not a linear progression. The cases progress on a logarithmic scale, which means you have the level here, the next surge goes up, and then it goes up even more. So it's a logarithmic progression, and we don't see any signs of that waxing right now. I mean, where it is, it's just climbing, and it is expected to climb even further from here because we have a very large base of patients that were exposed. I don't see light at the end of the tunnel this quickly. I think in a couple of weeks we'll know better. However, they've actually instituted a lot of measures there, including lockdowns. I do believe that it is going to take some time. Eventually, they'll get over this surge if everybody just adheres to doing what they're doing, which is wearing a mask, staying indoors, and reducing one-to-one transmission. Remember, wearing masks is the most important thing that one can do. If a patient that has COVID wears a mask, there's 74% reduction in transmission. If two people wear a mask, there's 99% reduction in transmission. And I'm talking about proper masks also. So wearing a mask is the most important thing, regardless of your vaccination status.
In New Jersey, the Indian American community and devotees came together at the Vartal Dham Sri Swaminarayan Temple in Somerset, New Jersey. This temple functions as a religious and cultural platform for the Hindu Indian community, mainly from the state of Gujarat, catering to spiritual needs of the people through Hindu scripts and more. Vartal Dham Sri Swaminarayan Temple also hopes to imbibe morals and ethics of Hinduism into the younger generation to further take the message of the temple on humanity, service, and love. With that, recently community gathered following all COVID-19 protocols and wearing masks for the special occasion of Shak Utsav 2021. The religious festival comprises of shak or food which is offered to the deities of the temple with full religious rituals and procession. Many spoke to ITV Gold on the essence of Shakotsav for them and their Hindu faith. Here is the story.
કાનમ સરોતરથી કચ્છથી પણ હરિભક્તો બધા આ ઉત્સવનો લાભ લેવા આવ્યા અને દિવ્ય ઉત્સવનો તૈયારી વાતાવરણ જામ્યું. મહારાજ પોતે આ ઉત્સવની બધી તૈયારી કરાવી. રીંગણા ને સંતો સરસ ધોઈને સુધારી અને મહારાજને પાત્રમાં ભરી ભરીને આપે.
Jai Swaminarayan, Vartal Dham Sri Swaminarayan Mandir. Today there was a Shakotsav, Bhagwan Swaminarayan, and according to his system, we did the Shakotsav. Swamiji was here, and almost all Haribhaktos following the coronavirus tradition with a mask, and Shakotsav is done very well. So we celebrating Shakotsav today. Jai Swaminarayan.
જય સ્વામિનારાયણ. વડતાલ સમરસેટ સ્વામિનારાયણ મંદિર લક્ષ્મીનારાયણ દેવની ગાદીનું આ મંદિર છે. અહીંયા અમે જેમ લોયામાં શાકોત્સવ હરિકૃષ્ણ મહારાજે કર્યો હતો અને જેમ શાંતાબાને ઈચ્છા થઈ હતી અને સુરા ખાચરે શાકોત્સવ કર્યો એ રીતે અમે પણ આ મંદિરમાં શાકોત્સવ કરીએ છીએ અને બધા હરિભક્તોને ભેગા થઈ બહેનો પણ મળી અને શાંતાબાને યાદ કરતાં કરતાં, દાદા ખાચરને યાદ કરતાં કરતાં અને સુરા ખાચરને બધાને હરિભક્તોને યાદ કરતાં કરતાં શાક સમારીએ, શાક વઘારીએ અને બધા હરિભક્તો અહીંયા આવી અને મહાપ્રસાદ લે છે. તો ભગવાન બધા પર રાજી રહે અને કોરોનાનો જે કાળ આવ્યો છે એમાંથી બધા મુક્ત થાય એવી હરિકૃષ્ણ મહારાજને, લક્ષ્મીનારાયણ દેવને અમારી પ્રાર્થના. દાદા હનુમાન દાદા સારંગપુરવાળાને પણ અમારી પ્રાર્થના. ગોપીનાથજી મહારાજ, રાધારમણ દેવ સર્વે હરિભક્તોને સુખિયા રાખે એવી અમારી પ્રાર્થના છે. જય સ્વામિનારાયણ.
જય સ્વામિનારાયણ. આ વડતાલ ગાદીનું અમેરિકા ખાતે વડતાલ ધામ ન્યૂજર્સી સમરસેટ મંદિર છે. અહીંયા આપણે દરેક તહેવારો ઉજવીએ છીએ. આ તહેવાર જે છે આ ઉત્સવ સ્વામિનારાયણ સંપ્રદાયનો સ્પેશિયલ ઉત્સવ છે, શાકોત્સવ. આજે 700 પાઉન્ડનું રીંગણાનું શાક અહીંયા બનાવવામાં આવ્યું છે અને સ્વામિનારાયણ ભગવાને એ વખતમાં 60 મણ રીંગણા અને 12 મણ ઘીના વઘારમાં શાક બનાવ્યું હતું લોયા કાઠિયાવાડમાં. તે વખતથી સંપ્રદાયમાં શાકોત્સવ થાય છે અને આવા દિવ્ય શાકોત્સવ દરેક મંદિરમાં ઉજવાય છે. આ મંદિરમાં વર્ષમાં આપણે 2 વિન્ટરમાં શાકોત્સવ કરીએ છીએ અને અહીંયા હજારો માણસો શાકોત્સવનો પ્રસાદ લે છે. અહીંનું શાક અદ્ભુત અને દિવ્ય હોય છે અને બધાને ખૂબ જ ગમે છે. એટલા માટે દૂર દૂરથી ભક્તો અહીંયા શાકોત્સવનો પ્રસાદ લેવા આવે છે. તો આવા ઉત્સવ દ્વારા જીવો ભગવાનમાં જોડાય, એમનું કલ્યાણ થાય, એમનું હિત થાય, એ હેતુથી ઉત્સવ ઉજવવામાં આવે છે. અત્યારે કોરોનાના વાતાવરણમાં સોશિયલ ડિસ્ટન્સ રાખીને દરેક લોકોએ માસ્ક પહેરીને અને નિયમો જાળવીને જ્યારે ઉત્સવ કર્યો છે ત્યારે ભગવાનને પ્રાર્થના કરીએ કે આ કોરોના કાળમાં ભગવાન શ્રી હરિ સર્વનું રક્ષણ કરે અને સર્વની જે આવેલી ઉપાધિઓ દૂર થાય અને વહેલો આ કોરોના કાળમાંથી બધાને મુક્તિ મળે અને સર્વને શાંતિનો સુખનો અનુભવ થાય એવી ભગવાનના શરણોમાં પ્રાર્થના કરીએ. આ ટીવી ગોલ્ડના દર્શકોનો અને કાર્યકર્તાઓનો ખૂબ ખૂબ આભાર અને ખૂબ આવી રીતે આપણે ભારતીય સંસ્કૃતિના પ્રસંગો ઉજવી અને ભારતની સંસ્કૃતિની મહાનતાની ઘેરે ઘોર આપણે એની ગૌરવ ગાથાને પહોંચાડીએ એવી અભ્યર્થના સાથે જય સ્વામિનારાયણ.
જય સ્વામિનારાયણ. સમરસેટ ન્યૂજર્સી સ્વામિનારાયણ મંદિર. આજે અમારે અહીંયા રીંગણના શાકનો ઉત્સવ બહુ જ સરસ, ખૂબ મજા આવી એવો બન્યો અને 700 પાઉન્ડ શાક બનાવ્યું, જે સૌરાષ્ટ્રમાં ભગવાને શાકોત્સવ કર્યો તો નર્યા ઘીમાં શાક બનાવી એવું જ શાક અહીંયા આગળ બનાવી હરિભગતોને ખૂબ આનંદ આપ્યો અને હરિભગતે ખૂબ આનંદથી પ્રસાદ લીધો અને ધામધૂમથી એ પ્રસંગ દર વર્ષમાં 2 વખત અમે આ સમયો કરીએ છીએ અને એમાં ખૂબ મજા આવે છે અને મહારાજની એટલી યાદ આવે છે, લીલાઓ કે ભૂલી ના શકીએ એટલી સરસ લીલાઓ યાદ આવે છે કે અંતકાળે પણ યાદ રહેશે એવો મજાનો આ ઉત્સવ થાય છે. જય સ્વામિનારાયણ.
It's time for the short break on Vision of Asia, Voice of the Community. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. I am Diti Lama and this is Vision of Asia South Asian News segment. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, who put his knee on George Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes last year, has now been found guilty of all 3 charges against him in one of the most important modern-day trials affecting communities of color. His conviction sheds light on a possible solution to the broken criminal justice system of police brutality and racism against innocent lives. But how should all of us understand this, and what does it mean for other similar trials? We spoke with Democratic candidate for Attorney General of Georgia, Mr. Charlie Bailey. A public leader, Charlie's career has revolved around the principle of fighting to receive justice for all those who have been wronged. He has led several roads to continue his fight for civil justice for the most underserved and vulnerable communities and hopes to be a support system for all communities of color in the state of Georgia. An 8th-generation Georgian, Charlie is passionate about public service with a progressive agenda to uplift all. Visit charlieforgeorgia.com for more information on his platform. Here is a part of our conversation with Charlie Bailey, Democratic candidate for Georgia's Attorney General election. A big moment happened yesterday in terms of police reform, in terms of getting a word on systemic racism, in terms of seeing if justice was going to be delivered, and that was the trial of Chauvin. Former police officer Chauvin has been charged with all 3 charges that he was convicted with. My question to you is, how are you looking at this? And as a possible, potential Attorney General, how are you understanding this entire situation? What kind of message does it send?
Well, I'll say that I think, like a lot of Americans yesterday, maybe exhaled, felt a sense of relief when our fellow citizens in that jury in Minneapolis returned a verdict holding Officer Chauvin accountable for his actions. And we have a lot of policies we need to change, laws that we need to change, and hearts that we need to change. But it was a small, but I think significant step towards recognizing, kind of these basic values of human commonality, that if any of us are going to matter, then George Floyd's got to matter. If the American dream is going to matter, if the ideals that we say, equal protection under the law, that everybody deserves the same manner of justice, if any of those words are going to matter, then it had to matter what happened to George Floyd. And I think about I've been thinking about his family and the strength that they have shown throughout this. And I just pray that yesterday brings them. You can't bring George Floyd back. There's nothing that'll ever make it okay. But I hope that verdict gives his family at least some measure of peace about the tragedy that's happened in their life, and the rest of us got a lot of work to do to make sure we don't have any more George Floyds, and that we make some of the systemic changes that we need to make in our criminal justice system.
And exactly what I was going to ask you as my next question. The criminal justice system is quite broken when it deals with the Black and brown communities. As an attorney general, you will be dealing directly with the criminal justice system. What kind of changes do you want to make?
Well, one of the big things that I'm talking about, and of course I was the Democratic nominee last time in 2018 and got 49% of the vote while on the ticket with Stacey Abrams, my friend Stacey Abrams. And in that campaign, I talked about this, and I'm speaking about it again, and that is that, in Georgia, we don't have a civil rights division in our Attorney General's office. When I'm elected Attorney General, I'm going to build a civil rights division in that office. And, to be the cradle of the civil rights movement in the Empire State of the South, and to not have a civil rights division means you don't prioritize civil rights, to me, is a dereliction of duty. And with that civil rights division, I'm going to advocate for the passage of a state civil rights bill, which we do not have, that'll give my division the tools it needs to go after employment discrimination, to go after discrimination in housing, discrimination in lending, to do pattern and practice investigations of rogue police agencies or rogue elements within those police agencies. So I think that is, the other part of this is you got to be, I think, you're the top prosecutor in the state. You're the top law enforcement official in the state. You have to be outspoken, and I will be outspoken about the need for criminal justice reform. You have a platform to use, and you ought to use it. My opponent never speaks about these issues. So there's direct action you can take, and then there's leadership that you can exhibit. The reason I have the endorsement of, some of these new DAs that flipped seats, Republican to Democratic in Georgia, whether that be Fonnie Willis and Fulton, who didn't flip a seat, but she beat an incumbent in a primary. Flynn Brody, who's the new Cobb DA, Dolly Racine, the new DA in Douglas County. These are all metro Atlanta counties. One of the reasons of that is they know through my time as a prosecutor, I've actually not just read about criminal justice reform, but in the practice, put it into practice and made some of those decisions. And so I will be a leader on those efforts, whether we're talking about that civil rights division, whether we're talking about issues around restorative justice. Those is far, far past time that the top prosecutor in our state be clear where we stand, and that is where I stand on the part of every person in the state ought to be able to expect that they can get that same manner of justice, and that their kids will be safe, when they walk down the street, and that covers all manner of reforms we need to make within policing as well.
Well, this wraps up our show for the night. Please send us your suggestions and get your voices and organization on our show. Email us on events@itvgold.com or follow us on Facebook @itvgold. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for free access to many of our popular shows. Thank you for joining us tonight from Queens, New York. This is Vision of Asia, and I am Aditi Lamba. Take care and be well.